Hello and welcome to Surveyor Says, the podcast from the National Society of Professional Surveyors. Each week, we bring you fascinating guests that are involved in the profession of surveying. We cover a lot of ground, including Table A Talk with Gary Kent, Point of Order with the NSPS Joint Government Affairs Team, Future Focus, highlighting current and future leaders of the profession, and everything survey-related in between. Thanks for joining us here on the podcast, and hope you enjoyed listening to this episode of Surveyor Says. Hello and welcome to another episode of Surveyor Says. This is a episode that's going to highlight one of the programs of NSPS. A lot of people have heard of TrigStar. They really, when pressed, they don't know what TrigStar is about. So we decided to enlist some help. And we've actually got the chair of the Trig-Star Committee. We were just discussing about how long he's been the committee chair, and it's going on 15 years. I mean, it's been quite a run. It's the one and only Jerry Juarez from Nevada. So, Jerry, welcome to Surveyor Says. And you know what? Just how did you get started in TrigStar? I mean, how did that all come about?
Well, that's a good question, and thank you for having me, Tim. I really appreciate that. So with TrigStar here in Nevada years ago, I was still in Las Vegas actually, and I wanted to give back to the profession because it has done so much for me and my family and everything. So it was something that I was involved with the local associations and everything, but I decided that I was going to the ACSM meetings at the time and getting a little bit involved. I used to actually run the games that were going on during those conferences. And then I just kind of walked into a committee meeting of TrigStar, and I'm like, wow, this is cool. And so Nevada did not have TrigStar at the time. So I decided that's something that I could really maybe do, and it sounded like a really good program, which it is. And so I started the program, TrigStar in Nevada, and moved to Reno kind of in that year. And so we really started TrigStar in Nevada up here in Reno, and it's been going pretty strong ever since.
Very good. Well, I'm going to back you up a little bit, and let's talk about Jerry Juarez for a second. I mean, land surveying. Every surveyor has a wild story of some sort about how they got themselves into surveying, whether it's through a relative or a summer job or whatever. What's Jerry's story about how he became a professional land surveyor?
Oh, okay. Well, it was many, many moons ago in Vegas. It was pretty much right out after high school, around 1980. My dad and my brother were working at Hoover Dam for the Bureau of Reclamation. My dad was a dam guide, and then my brother was an engineering technician over there. And he came home one day, and I didn't go to college, unfortunately, at that time, and so he came home and said, hey, there's a position, a land survey. What was it? Like a intern, not really intern, but like something that was going to, you start in the land surveying crew. At the time, I had no idea what that was. So that's how I started there. I kind of went into a program, a youth corps program is what it was, minimum wage. I think it was $3.35 an hour. I'm dating myself, but that's where I started. And pretty much got into that from about 1980, and just like most people that got into surveying, they fell in love with it, and I stuck with it, and went through that Bureau of Reclamation for a little while, and then got into the private world, and so when I was a party chief at a big firm in Vegas, and I wanted to learn AutoCAD, so I started coming into the office to learn on my own. Didn't expect pay or anything. It's maybe a little different these days, but I wanted to kind of better myself. So I came into the office and wanted to learn AutoCAD, and it ended up the timing of it. The chief of parties kind of left abruptly, and they asked me to, because I was there in the office, they asked me to see if I could help. I ended up running like 14 crews without a license. There were licensed guys there first.
Right.
I was doing, I would just schedule. It was pretty much babysitting more than anything when you have that many crews. But that kind of I got into my management, and it worked out. It was the best thing I ever did in my career, was to just take a chance and come in after the field day and learn some of the office stuff. So that's how I became, really involved in surveying and the management end of it as well.
Well, and I guess that's a good segue into TrigStar itself and talking about the whole program. I mean, your background, having really touched a little bit of everything, starting from square one, has really provided, just listening to your story, has provided a great background for what it takes to be part of a surveyor and the math behind it, and be able to teach some of these things that gets kids involved in TrigStar. So I guess let's start there with, okay, TrigStar, heard about it. What is your elevator speech on what is the TrigStar program?
Oh, that's good elevator speech. I like that, because I must have said what I'm going to tell you right now 100, 200 times, because it's really important that we talk about what TrigStar is and what it isn't. So, so I've said this quite a few times, but what it is, it's a high school math competition that involves trigonometry, TrigStar, right? So it started back in, I think it was 1984, with ACSM or whoever it was back then, and it's just continued on from there. And it's like it rewards students for their knowledge of math, and it's kind of something that not a lot of students get to do, because it's not an easy exam. It's a trigonometry exam, but so I think the biggest thing about TrigStar is that it's an awareness program, because those students that have been doing it from 1984, they were lucky enough to know who we are, but not very many students know about land surveying and about the opportunities it brings, and about how great a profession it is, and that you start in the field, you can stay in the field, all these different things. I've gone to many high schools and others, even middle schools and stuff, and asked the question. That's one of the first things I talk about, is like, do you know what a land surveyor is? And 200 kids, there are probably maybe 2 kids that have an uncle or aunt or something that was a land surveyor, but they don't know who we are. And if they don't know who we are, how could they know the opportunities that are out there for people that want to get into land surveying, or even in a technical field? So it's just such a great way to bring awareness to that, not just students, but teachers and parents. And it just brings awareness to these people that like scholarships, right? Scholarships are a big thing with high school students, and they don't know about what we offer at NSPS or their state societies or associations. So I think the best way to say what TrigStar is, it's an awareness program, to bring awareness to so many different people that don't know who we are. You don't grow up and talk to your parents about, unfortunately, becoming a professional land surveyor. That you talk about being a civil engineer, electrical engineer, whatever. So one day, hopefully, that's going to be the discussion that kids are going to have with their parents, and that's pretty much why I got involved. And I love it. I absolutely love land surveying, and it's brought a lot to me and my family. So that's a great way to get involved and to give back to the profession. So, yeah, so that's what TrigStar is.
Exactly. No, and I like the way you said it's more of an awareness program and awareness opportunity. What I like about it, to be honest with you, is that, so I mean, you as a surveyor can go into any school on career day, whatever, with people, surveyors with their kids or what have you, but they're really not going to reach anybody unless you just catch that one special kid. At least with TrigStar, it's really touching on a little bit of any of the kids that are interested in anything STEM. That it's showing them. I remember when my daughter was young that, she was like, what do I need this math for? And I don't need to know what the cosine of this thing is. Well, if, to show her different applications. I mean, this is an opportunity, especially when you've got a targeted group of kids with the trigonometry and geometry, that this is an application of how it gets used. So I like that it's an awareness of this is how you're going to use it someday. So no, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, real world application. And I can tell you that teachers, when they do allow, or the leadership of their school allows TrigStar to come in and do what we do and do the presentation, everything, that the teachers absolutely fall in love with TrigStar, just because they could say, here's a real world application for why I'll never use math. Just like you said, well, this is the best way to let them know that you will and can use math, and so that, I think that's a biggest thing for teachers, is real world application. And once the teachers do it, usually they want to do it every single year, and they move schools and they want to contact whatever surveyor and whatever local sponsor they have to do it at that school. So it's gaining traction, this TrigStar thing, and we'll talk about one of the biggest things that's happened in TrigStar, and since probably the beginning here in a little bit. But yeah, it's definitely gaining traction.
Well, I guess let's talk about that for your introduction to a school and a teacher. I guess, is it the same selling point that your sales pitch to the teacher? I mean, what's it really take to make that teacher want to buy into this? I mean, is it what you just said, or do you give them a little extra, I don't know, Jerry's personality? You know how that goes.
Yeah. Well, that always helps,
Yeah.
I've been accused of having that personality and maybe getting up and being able to do that. But it's pretty easy when you have a profession like we do, and you just talk from your heart. And I think teachers and everybody in the schools can see that. But it's a struggle. I got to be honest with you, to first of all find the surveyors out there that want to get involved, and that want to sponsor schools, and that want to take the time to get into the schools and do and prepare something that you can present to the schools. Like, some people bring their GPS equipment. So it's kind of a two-step program with TrigStar. You go in there and you do the presentation about land surveying, about colleges, about scholarships, and then you come back and do this exam. But like I said, honestly, it's hard to get into some schools. You have to go through either the principal or the math head or somebody like that. So it's hard to get to the teachers. But once we do get to those teachers,
right,
or even the math department heads, they run with it, just because of everything we've talked about. I mean, so what I usually do is get in front of the surveyors in my area and just say, your wives or your husbands or whoever are are there teachers anywhere? Do they know anybody that we may get a foot into the door, and really try to push that to get it? Because once we do get that foot in the door, and once we present what we present and do what we do, it's pretty much a no-brainer most of the time for schools and teachers to want to continue.
Okay, well, good. Well, let's say you make that connection and you find a teacher within a school that's willing to do that. What's it take to get that teacher signed up, a class signed up, the school signed up? What's it take to get them on board to be able to have you come in, do your spiel with what a surveyor is, and to then do the test? What's that process? I mean, is it a lot of paperwork? Is it a lot of red tape? What is it?
Not at all. Not at all. Actually, it's every state has the NSPS leadership and director, and there's also for TrigStar, there's a state coordinator, and if not a state coordinator, then we can find somebody in your state to talk about, to let them know about TrigStar and how that whole process goes. So it's really an easy process. We just have to find the people to do the legwork, and once we do that, a local sponsor usually pays for the exam from NSPS to get to the schools and give the exam or give a presentation. So it's definitely not a process at all. The tough part is just the selling part of it, and getting in there. So you just have to find somebody who's like us, you and I, Tim, that are passionate about what we do, and that's why we get involved, right? And we have to find these people and kind of throw them into the fire, as they say, and say, hey, just go over there and do a presentation. You know what to do. We don't need a speaker's kit. We don't usually, when you find somebody who's passionate like that, you just go up there and let them talk about their profession and what it's done for them and their families. And so, that part of it, that's the easy part. Getting through the leadership of the school districts, that's the tough part, mm-hmm. But it's still doable. There's not a lot of paperwork at all. I mean, you get a local sponsor, you go to do the school, and then Trish over there at NSPS, who's an amazing person to do all this other type of work that needs to get done. She'll help anybody out, and I will too if anybody has any questions about TrigStar. But we'll talk about that too at the end. But there's people out there that will help you, and if your state doesn't or isn't involved, or you don't know who to contact, you can contact me.
Very good.
Or Trish.
Or Trish, exactly. Well, very good. We'll get anytime there's anything NSPS related. Yeah, we usually we funnel it through Trish. She's our Miss Everything. So we'll see.
Yeah, she's pretty easy.
Okay, so let's talk about the test, and I guess let's talk about traditional and coming into the 21st century now. Let's talk about the traditional way it's been since 1984 to date on giving this test.
That's a really good segue there, because it has been the same since then, and there's only been a few changes in our world since then. So we really need to get into that 21st century. But anyway, there's a local exam that NSPS provides. It's the same exam for every school that takes the first part, the local test. And then there's some states that do a state test, but that's kind of up to the states. And then there's the national test. Every state that's involved comes up with their own winner of TrigStar, and there's usually some money, some trophies and money for the winners, and they get to take the national exam, and then we take it from there at NSPS to give them a 2-hour exam. The first local test is an hour exam, so that's pretty much how that goes through, is where the local exam gets, I don't know how many people there are out there, but it's a paper exam that you sit there and get proctored by either with the teachers and the surveyors that are there. They would proctor the exam, and it's an hour long. Teachers get into it and they start teaching real world applications with surveying, so they can understand what it is. So pretty much that's how it goes at the beginning of the TrigStar contest, is that local part of it. Then the national 2-hour exam, but it's all been on paper and it's all been in person, and that's how it's been since 1984. And it's worked pretty good. But one of the things that we want to do as a committee is grow this program. And we want to make sure that we'd love to be in every school, high school there is. But so we need to figure out how to way to do that. And one of the things that we need is money. I mean, grants or sponsors or something like that. And the only way that we're going to get anything from the government or even anything from a private, and anybody in that private world, they want to know what the stats are of TrigStar, and why should we give you money to grow this thing or do whatever we want to do with it. Well, with this paper exam, and this is a volunteer organization, I'm sure everybody's heard that before, right? It's been really tough trying to get together these stats. How many students in a year around the nation take it? How many schools even? Schools we could do, and we have done, but we need to have the numbers to be able to get, there's money out there, grants that we could get or whatever. So this is the biggest thing we've done in a long time or ever in TrigStar, is that we've come up with a way to put that exam online. And, if there's people out there, I'm sure that have been involved with TrigStar for a long time, are hearing this for the first time, they're probably jumping up and down, I'm hoping, because it's going to be easier. It's going to be able to get more kids involved and more teachers. And we're going to be able to get the stats that we need to bring this program to where it should be. Again, remember, it's an awareness thing, and we need to let these kids know who we are so they can get into colleges, right? And this 4-year degree is here to stay, I think, in a lot of states. And if we don't do something, we're going to be left behind like we have already, I think. So anyway, so that's something that our committee has worked so hard on, and it's amazing, this committee that's been around. In fact, John Shagnon was the chair before I was for many years, and he's back on the committee, and we have some pretty amazing people around the nation that have been involved, and we just can't wait to have an inaugural year with this online program, which is going to be pretty much this fall when school starts. We're going to be able to offer online, and there's a lot of kinks to work out. There's a lot of things that we still need to do as a committee to make sure that everybody's going to get what they want and be able to use this program the way they want to use it. And so again, we're really close to being able to put out a policy, put out things to everybody else, explaining how this online program is going to work. So it's very exciting stuff, I think. And I think a lot of people, especially NSPS leadership, I think is going to hopefully be really as excited as we are.
Well, I am. I'll be honest with you, just seeing the look, the how your face came alive when you're talking about how much more exciting this is. I mean, I remember this is going to date us. You're going to realize this too. You're going to remember this too. But going from a paper field book to a data collector, I mean, that's
great.
That's legitimately what this is. This isn't hand entering all of this stuff and hand grading all of this stuff. They're taking these tests, and we're able to do this, like you said, a lot quicker. The data is going to be able to analyzed and figure out who's where and what, and be able, like you said, be able to provide sponsors with hard numbers on who's taking it, who's passing it, where these quality students are, and be able to justify, whether it's a grant, whether it's a sponsorship, whatever, that this is a great program. So kudos to the committee for being able to put this thing together. And I look forward to, like I said, really, really growing exponentially at this point. So let's talk about the contests for them. Themselves. You talked about that at the state level, and then evolving into state winners coming to national. I mean, for somebody that's going to a national level test and does well, what do they have in store for them? I mean, is there prize money, scholarships? I mean, what are we talking about for winners?
Yeah, great question. And again, this is since the beginning of this program, there has been some cash money that has been given to students and teachers, which is, I don't know if there's a lot of programs out there that actually recognize the teachers of these students the way we do. So what happens, again, back on the local level, usually every school takes the exam and they have a sponsor, a local surveying firm, or whatever. And they can offer whatever really they want to offer for prize money, first, second, and third place usually. And, I know in Nevada, we do like a like a $50 third place, a $75 second place, and a $100 first place, and just in their school. And, kids love that, of course. It's cash money. So that really has a little incentive for that. And then, even on some local levels in some states that they reward the teachers as well. Like, I know I've gotten even as little as a Starbucks card or something like that to get the teachers involved. But on the national level, so that kind of goes up quite a bit. Like I think I know on the national level, the prize money is broken down where there's a first, second, and third for the national winners. And third place gets $500, the student does, and the teacher will get $250. Second place will get $1,000, and the teacher will get $500. And then first place will get $2,000 cash, and the teacher will get $1,000 cash of the teacher of those winners. So, and then we've been starting to invite the winners to, or the winner to our meetings at NSPS, which luckily we're starting to get back to normal a little bit. So we'll have some in-person. Yeah, it's been really cool to be able to introduce the winners and the students and the teachers. Usually we invite as well. We get them to the national conference or whatever we're having for that year, and introduce them to the leadership at NSPS and everywhere else. So that's going to continue. But the cash, it's just a really, really good opportunity for kids. And I got to mention that we're talking about the national winners. This is not an easy exam. This is a pretty tough exam that a lot of surveyors would have a hard time with. And these kids have to use these non-programmable calculators, and and they have to break it down. And so a lot of the kids that are winning, they're going into physics programs and things like that. But again, that's not the point of what we're doing. We'd love to have butts in the seats, and there are a couple good stories and good wins like that for TrigStar that we're going to introduce hopefully and really soon. But we're butts in the seats is another issue that we as leaders have to really work out, and hopefully we're on our way to doing that. But TrigStar is not that program that is going to put a lot of butts in the seats. So, we're just trying to introduce this wonderful profession to young people, let alone trying to get kids into colleges, which if that works out, that's just a bonus for this program. So I think hopefully we're going to be able to raise that award money, and we'll be able to do things that we haven't done in a while because we haven't gotten the sponsorships or the grants. So hopefully that's all coming soon, and I think this online program is going to help it a lot. So
I think so too. Well, I guess the one question I have is the national winners. Do they have to give up their amateur status then?
Yeah. Yes, it can't be trigonometry, whatever it is. US
Trigonometry professional.
No, that's pretty funny. It's a great program, and there's been a lot of the elephant in the room a lot of the times, and with TrigStar, is like, well, it's really not putting butts in the seats, and it's not, again, it's something that we need to work through, and hopefully as the program grows that everybody will realize what this program is and the opportunities that we're going to get from this program, not just the students and teachers and everybody else that's going to be aware of land surveying, but the land surveyors themselves being able to know that you're telling a lot of people about our profession and all the opportunities and how great being outside and things are. So there's a win-win in this thing, and it's going to continue.
Exactly, and I think that's one thing that we've got to push on the educational side. That when you talk to these kids and you start talking about UAVs and GPS, GNSS, and you start saying that trigonometry is behind the location of a lot of this stuff, and when you're playing games, it's all about location on all these things. That when they start tying these things together, and then you introduce this competition. It's not just going out cutting brush and like I like to say, we are not in my father's surveying anymore. This is virtual reality world, and being able to apply that math to what we do is fantastic, and this is a great way to broadcast that.
Absolutely, I just thinking about it, it's like we're supposed to be following in the original footsteps of the surveyor, but not wearing their footwear. That's pretty much what we've got a lot of things to do to make sure that we are introducing UAVs and introducing all the cool technology and just everything about the scanning scanners out there, and how pretty easy it is to do based from 10 years ago, and so there's a lot to talk to these kids about. But we still, as surveyors, of course, have to remember that we are following in the footsteps, and that is as important to TrigStar as the money that we give out. We need to remember who we are. And I think that's a lot of reason why I'm involved, just
Exactly.
It's a really good thing to give back. Yeah.
Well, we try to keep these within a reasonable time frame, and I know you're a busy guy like the rest of us. But before we go, I mean, you already mentioned John Chagnon, the former chair and now still current member. Anybody else on the committee we want to recognize? We get to give a little shout out to.
Oh, they don't do anything, so let's just leave it at that. No, this is a great committee. This is a great committee, and we've had some really good people join the committee, and in the recent years, and one of them being Aaron Leach, who is just as gregarious as they come, and smart, and just he's from South Carolina, and I forgot to mention with John Shagnon, he's a New Englander, not from where is he? New Hampshire.
New Hampshire, yep.
Yeah, New Hampshire. But and Tony Gregory, he has been around for a long time. He's way older than me, so I don't even know if that's true or not. But he's been around for a long time in Indiana, and so he's still on that committee. And then one of the biggest thing, the names we've gotten, the person that we've gotten recently who's helped with this online effort is Sherry from California, and I always have such a hard time with her last name.
Yes.
So, what do you remember how to pronounce that?
You know what?
Sherry.
Yes, she was on an earlier podcast with me to talk about her career and things, and she walked me through how to pronounce it, and I'll butcher it now, but she's Sherry from California, and she's phenomenal. I'm glad she's connected with TrigStar. I'm glad she's helped with the online, because she's a bundle of energy, and she fits in perfectly with the existing group.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, she's the one that helped us with coming up with an online program. It's very expensive to do the things that we really wanted to do with regard to security and everything, but we're just a volunteer group, so we had to kind of do things a little bit differently, and Sherry really helped us with that. So it's great to have somebody like that, like her on board. And another one is Tim Mallett. I think he's actually also from New Hampshire, but we would love to have some younger people. I think we look in the mirror, maybe besides Sherry, and we've got some gray hair and old people that we really need to get some younger people on the committee. And so anybody out there who's interested in being involved in a great committee, that you get a lot from it as much as you put out. So if there's anybody out there, again, we'll get some contact information, and we can see what we can do, because it's a great program.
It is a great program. And Jerry, we've known each other for quite a while, and it's really been great to watch you and this committee and watch this program grow, and the growing pains, and especially now I've been a little more involved with TrigStar as an officer, and really watching this committee really take this online with both hands and really make this thing work. And like I said, kudos to everyone on the committee for really a lot of hard work putting this together. And thank you for your leadership and making this thing happen through a pandemic of all things. So we appreciate you being here.
Yeah. Yeah, if there's a positive, that's what happened with our committee anyway, is we were able to have some time to do some of the things that we've been talking about doing for quite a long time. So, and we really appreciate you being our liaison, and how much you've been involved. And it's been wonderful to have somebody on NSPS leadership that's actually very much involved with our committee, and we really appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to be involved with you, with your group. So, well, like I said, we're gonna be respectful of your time as well. You're gonna hear more great things out of this committee coming up. Like I said, online is going to blow up. We'll put some contact information in the show notes, and we'll make sure that if anybody out there has any desire to even just check it out and see what it takes to be part of the TrigStar Committee. This is a great group of people, and I think it's very fulfilling. Is from what I've been involved in, what I've seen. And Jerry, thank you for your time. And you know what? If you don't mind, I'm going to extend an offer to come back in a little while, and let's just check on the progress of the online testing and see how much this thing has grown.
Absolutely. That would be wonderful. And thank you very much, Tim. Appreciate being here.
All right. Well, that'll do it for this episode of Surveyor Says. We do have several more great episodes lined up in the next few weeks. We'll have some more of our new series of What is Surveying, with actually a couple of characters within the surveying world, different areas of surveying world that I think you'll want to stick around and listen to. So I'm Tim Burch. This has been Jerry Juarez, my good buddy in Nevada, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
You've been listening to the Surveyor Says podcast, brought to you by the National Society of Professional Surveyors. If you have any questions about today's episode or any other topic, please email us at info@nsps.us.com, and we are here to help. Visit our website, nsps.us.com, to learn more about our association, the programs we administer and support, our sustaining members, and information about future episodes of Surveyor Says. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify, as well as our podcast host, Podbean. And remember, it's a great day to be a surveyor.